بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم من همزه ونفخه ونفثه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Today is the sixth lecture in our English series for Tajweed al-Quran, and as I said yesterday, we will be starting the Makhaarij al-Huruf, but today again actually I came upon something which in another book, the main book that I'm following for this series, and there was some extra information in there which I think is very important, so I am going to share that with you first, and inshallah we'll start the Makhaarij from next week. Because the reason I want to share this is I've seen so many people make these mistakes, and so many people who even know Tajweed and their Makhaarij and Sifat are very good and they know the rules, but they make such basic mistakes, and it affects their qira'ah. It could be more beautiful, but it affects their qira'ah because they don't know these basics. They don't stick to the basics. So if you make your basics strong and then you proceed slowly, inshallah, I believe it will be much better than learning the big stuff and then being weak in the basics. Before that, if you remember, I told you before as well that I would mention some books of Tajweed, inshallah ta'ala, and you can have an idea from them. Now, since this lecture is in English, I won't mention the Urdu books in this, but I will just mention the Arabic ones. I know in English only one book, and for that book you can easily find just make a Google search. It's known as the Tajweed rules of the Quran, أحكام التجويد القرآن, Tajweed rules of the Quran, and it's written by Shaykha Karima Carol Serpinski, or Serbinsky in Arabic. So Karima Carol Serpinski, she has written this book, Tajweed rules of the Quran. It's a 3-part book, I believe, and you can find it on Google most probably. And if you want to buy it, if you want to buy a hard copy, which I prefer myself, you can get a hard copy from somewhere. The introduction is written again by Sheikh Dr. Ayman Rushdi Swaid, who is a very senior and expert teacher in the Tajweed and Qira'ah as well, I think. So this is one book. Now the Arabic books I'll mention because some of you might, as I know, that some of the people, they only know English and Arabic, they don't know Urdu. So that's why, as I said, I won't mention the Urdu books, but I'll mention the Arabic ones. So the book which I studied myself in my course, the name is بغية عباد الرحمن لتحقيق تجويد القرآن في رواية حفص بن سليمان من طريق الشاطبية. So the real name of the book is بغية عباد الرحمن. If you say this much, it should be enough, but the complete name is بغية عباد الرحمن لتحقيق تجويد القرآن في رواية حفص بن سليمان من طريق الشاطبية. And this book has been written by Sheikh Muhammad bin Shahada al-Ghul. So it's a very you can say detailed book, around 400 pages, and it mentions all the things related to Tajweed, and if I'm not wrong, it has al-Waqf wal-Ibtida as well. Yes, it has al-Waqf wal-Ibtida as well, exactly. So you find a lot of details in this book, but most of the books of Tajweed which we get, they don't have al-Waqf wal-Ibtida discussed in detail. They only have Tajweed rules, and also those very basic ones. So this is a very good book, but the order of this book is a little bit confusing according to my shuyukh. The ones who are teaching me, they themselves say that but it's a course book here in Saudi Arabia that they teach in the eastern region. So it's a course book, they have to teach it, but my shuyukh, they recommended another book which I'm using for this course. The name is Taysir al-Rahman fi Tajweed al-Quran, and that has been written by a female scholar. Her name is Su'ad Abdul Hamid. So and she also basically this book also has the muqaddimah from Sheikh Ayman Swaid. So I believe that it's going to be inshallah a good read as well. If sorry, not the muqaddimah, but you could say she is one of the students of Dr. Ayman Rushdi Suwaid as well. The taqreez of this book, it's been written by Sheikh Ahmed Mustafa, and another sheikh who wrote it is Sheikh Mahmoud Amin Tantawi. And so these are the two scholars who wrote a slight introduction of this book, and then the muqaddimah, of course, is from the author herself. And this book is a very good book as well, and she basically mentioned the purpose of writing this book, which I liked in the introduction. And she said that there are many books of tajweed already, obviously, so there's you can say you can't really add anything new in the books of tajweed because they're already there in the books. The only thing is that you get what information you want to share with your audience, and you get that right information according to the target audience you're targeting, and you put that information in the book. This is the main thing. So she said that she read many books, and she found out that at some point in the book she would say that, oh, if only the author had explained this point in such a way, then it would have been easier for the readers to understand. Or where there were some extra details, she said that if these details were not there, I mean, maybe it would be. So basically her purpose of gathering this book was that she tried to just rewrite what was written already. There's nothing obviously new that you can add to tajweed, but she just shared that information which she thought was necessary for understanding tajweed, but not the detailed you can say argumentation and the differences between scholars, which are of a higher level of study, and which only confuse the beginner. So she wrote this book so that it's not that lengthy that you get bored and you get confused, and it's not that short that you don't understand the rules at all. So it's also around 400 pages, 375 I believe, and it's a good book, inshallah. I haven't myself completely studied, but I'm studying it now before teaching it to you guys. So because I studied the other one, Bughiyat Ibad Rahman. Then there's another book which for the course I did for Muqaddimat al-Jazariya, the sharh we studied, the explanation we studied was by Dr. Ghanim Qadduri Al-Hamad, and he has basically written two books on the explanation. One of them is for beginners, and that is named as Ash-Sharh al-Wajiz ala al-Muqaddimat al-Jazariya. So that is the shorter version of Al-Muqaddimat al-Jazariya. It's around 150 pages, something like this. And then there's a longer version as well, which is just named as Sharh al-Muqaddimat al-Jazariya. It is not named Ash-Sharh al-Wajiz, but it is just named Sharh al-Muqaddimat al-Jazariya. And he has explained in that obviously some things related to the sound and the modern ways of teaching, and combining that with the old ways of teaching. So he's compiled a very good book, and it is around 700 pages I believe, because obviously Muqaddimat al-Jazariya does not only cater to tajweed, it also deals with waqf wal ibtida, and then the last two portions of the poem, they deal with the rasam of the Mus'haf Usmani as well. So these are some of the books of Arabic which I know, and if you know any other book, you're free to share. I mean, there are many other books. There are many other books of tajweed and qira'ah as well. The books of Sheikh Jamal bin Ibrahim Al-Qarsh, they are normally very good as well. There are other books dedicated to, he has written books dedicated to Al-Waqf al-Ibtida, but they're not for you right now. Then, as I mentioned before, I think no, I didn't mention this audio, but an answer to a question in the WhatsApp group, that there's a, if you want to qira'at, then there's Sharh al-Wafi by Sheikh Abdul Fattah, and then you go to older scholars and you get into details, and then the differences of opinions between things, so on. My point is that I recommend everyone to at least study one textbook of tajweed with this course, because this course, what I'm teaching over here, is not enough. Just believe me, because there's many things which I'm not able to tell you right now. There are many things which are explained better by the scholars in the books than I can explain on WhatsApp or on YouTube or something like this. And then there are many things which I don't know, of course. And then you when you study something, you'll find them in the books, and maybe I don't know, I haven't read that book as well. So at all, I mean. So you can, if you think there's a good book, if it's a famous book, if your scholars, local scholars, Tajweed scholars, they recommend it, buy that book, read it, and listen to the durus. And if you think it's a good book, if you want to recommend it, do let us know. I'll share that with everyone over here, so people can know about other books as well. But these are some of the few books which are in my knowledge are good books, inshallah. Moving on. So basically, we studied yesterday some of the things related to sound and what is a harf, and we studied that how is sound produced, and so what are the different places, what are the main makharij, halq, lisan, shafatan, khayshum, jawf, these things. So I was going to start, as I said, with the main makharij, but I found in this book Taysir al-Rahman fi Tajweed al-Quran by Dr. Suad, Suad, that it has some additional information before makharij, and that information is related to the pronouncing the harakat and how you make your make the shape of your lips when you are pronouncing those harakat. And I found that this information was very important, so let's start with that. It's she calls this topic as itmamul harakat, meaning completeness of what you are pronouncing, the harakat. The I don't know what haraka is in English, but a movement, you could say. Yeah, haraka is basically movement, but when you talk about haraka over here, we're referring to fatha, kasra, and dhamma. We're talking about that. So itmamul harakat meaning pronouncing your harakat the correct way or completely. Most of the people, when they pronounce fatha or kasra or dhamma, you don't see any difference in their face. They're pronouncing dhamma the same way, they're pronouncing fatha the same way, they're pronouncing kasra the same way. Whereas in reality, each of these things has a specific way to read them. For example, if you're talking about reading a fatha, it's necessary that you open your mouth a little bit. Now, these harakat, these three main, you can say common or main or basic harakat, they're actually derived, or they're actually part of the huruf mad wal lin. What do I mean by this? For example, what is the first harf mad wal lin which comes to your mind? A, u, e. These are the only three. So let's start with a. So you say a, okay? Now, if you shorten this a to half of its length, it becomes a, okay? Similarly, u, it becomes u, and then e, it becomes e. So just like you have to open your mouth while saying a, you have to open your mouth while saying a, and just like you have to make make a round shape of your lips while saying u. Similarly, you have to make a round shape of your lips. You have to round your lips when you say u. And similarly, just like when you say e, your mouth, it expands a little bit, the lower portion of your mouth, just like you're smiling. And just like that, you have to say e. So the same way you say e, just like that, say e. So three things over here. Number one, in fatha, your mouth will open. Number two, in dhamma, your lips will protrude out a little bit and they will be completely round. Number three, in kasra, the lower portion of your mouth will expand, just like when you are smiling. So these three things are very important to take care of. According to some scholars, and one of the famous names over here is Al-Imam At-Tayyibi, Tayyibi or Tayyibi. So his complete name is Shihabuddin Ahmad bin Badruddin bin Badruddin bin Ibrahim At-Tayyibi or At-Tayyibi. He was a scholar of the 10th century of Hijrah. He passed away in. He was born in 910 and passed away in 979. He lived in Damascus. So he said that he basically wrote a poem on this. He wrote poetry. So I'm just going to explain what that poetry means. He says that the decrease in the harakat, in the harakat, meaning, for example, you, instead of saying a, you say a, or a, like this, or instead of saying u, you say o, something like this, or instead of saying e, you say e. So the decrease in harakat, he says, is worse than al-lahn al-jali. Okay, so pay careful attention to that. He's saying the decrease in harakat is actually worse than al-lahn al-jali, because the decrease is in the dhatul harf. It is in the the entity of the harf itself. It is in the harf itself that you're decreasing it. Whereas the lahn al-jali, it can be even for example, what he says is that it can be just leaving off a sifa, okay, a characteristic. For example, take the words ta and ta, for example, or sin or sad, for example. Both of these pairs that I mentioned, they have the same makhraj. Ta and ta and sin and sad, they have the same makhraj. The only difference between them is due to the characteristics or the sifat. So if the sifat, if you mix some sifa from one to another, if you change it from one to another, the words can, the letters can change. So but that is still al-lahn al-jali. Now over here, you're not even changing the sifa. What you're doing is you're changing the entity or the base or the nature of the word itself. You're not even pronouncing it correctly. Instead of saying a, you're saying a. Instead of saying e, you're saying e. Instead of saying u, you're saying o. Something like this. I'll explain why I'm saying the way I'm saying right now. Why I'm saying u as o, because this is a mistake which most of the people do. So according to him and some other scholars, of course, this is actually worse than al-lahn al-jali, because you're changing the basis of the letter itself, the dhatul harf. Take an example of pronouncing the letter bu. Okay, now bu, as I said, it's just like if you say bu, you will protrude your lips towards outside a little bit, and you will make them completely round for saying boo, boo. So just like you say boo, now drop the waw and you will say boo. Your lips will still be round. They still have to be in a circle shape, in a round shape, and they still have to, you still have to do that even when you're pronouncing a simple dhamma. And if you don't do that, it's actually not going to come out correctly. You will most probably end up saying bo. Okay, so I didn't make my lips round, and I'm trying to say dhamma as well, so I'll say bo, bo, because it's not possible to pronounce the correct boo sound without making your lips round. Similarly, when you are pronouncing, for example, he has she, and I'm talking about the book now, she's given example of Surah Al-An'am, verse number 54. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَتَبَ رَبُّكُمْ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ الرَّحْمَةِ. Now this word kataba has three similar harakat altogether in three consecutive letters. Now it is very common for people to, when they're reading such letters, then that they skip one of the harakat and they don't read it completely. By skipping, I don't mean that they skip it altogether, but they skip reading it completely. They don't read it completely. For example, I say kataba, okay, kataba. So I'm reading it fast. If there was I don't know what's the previous verse. So if I'm reading it fast, I'll say kataba or kataba. So what I did, my kaf was okay, but my ta, it was not even, you can say, 1/2 of the complete haraka. It was maybe 1/3 of the haraka. And this is, we call this in Tajweed talkhis, that you make the sound of one haraka so short that it becomes actually equal to around 1/3 of that haraka. And that is most common when there are similar harakat in a single kalima, like kataba, fa'ala, ja'ala, even na'ida. So you're saying na'idukum or na'iduhum. So you say na'iduhum. Do you see the difference between na'iduhum and then na'iduhum? So the ayn, where is the ayn? The ayn is completely almost gone. It's still there, but almost gone. It's 1/3 of the harakah. So this is a major mistake. Similarly, when reciting Bismillah, some people, they might say Bismillah, and not they might say, but they do say. I mean, some people, they do say. I've heard it myself. They do say Bismillah. So it's not Bismillah, it's Bismillah. And similarly, when you're saying وَلِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ, so for over here, the ra, it needs to be taken care of. You might say, for example, وَلِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ. So you see, the ra, it's still with the kasra, but the kasra is not a complete kasra. It's something between a kasra and a fatha, and it goes towards imala, a little bit towards imala. So it should be وَلِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ. Just like if you say the kalima rih, if you say rih, you will naturally expand your mouth because of the ya after the ra. So you will say it rih. So just like you're saying rih, you have to say mashriq, maghrib. Okay? And this is something which actually then shows the expertise of a qari. When such words come like tubtum, kuntum, and mashriqu, maghribu, na'iduhum, kataba. I'm just giving random examples which I remember. Some of them are written over here, some of them which I remember. And these are some of the words which normally we make mistakes in. People make mistakes in these words. And you need to take care of them. For example, now I'll explain why I said kuntum and tubtum. You see, the first word over here is with the dhamma. Okay? So you have to make your lips in a round position. You have to put your lips in a round position. So you will say ku. Okay? And then suddenly after that is noon, and it is sakin. And for sakin, your mouth has to be straight. So you will say kun. Okay? Now next letter is again ta. Ta is again with a dhamma. So for dhamma, you will say tu again, just like you said for ku. So, and after that, after tu, again the letter is mim, which is sakin. And for sakin, you have to straighten your lips again. So again, it's not going to be kuntum, kuntum. No, it's going to be kuntum, kuntum. And similarly, tobetum. It's not tobetum, it's tubetum, tubetum. So these things come with practice. You have to practice this, and inshallah, with time they will get better. So just to summarize this quickly, very quickly, there are 3 things you have to take care of. Number 1, when you're reading fatha, you have to open your mouth. Number 2, when you're reading dhamma, your lips should be round. Number 3, when you're reading kasra, your lower portion of the mouth, it should be like when you're smiling. Okay? Just like when you're saying ya, e, in that position. And as for the sakin huruf, you don't have to do anything. Your mouth is going to be in a normal state, and the only difference will be in the makhaarij of the harf. Some more examples which will further explain this is, before that, I want to say that this does not mean that you do mubalagha in these harakat. Okay? These positions of the mouth do not mean that you do mubalagha. And mubalagha means exaggeration. So you don't do exaggeration in your harakat, because exaggeration will eventually change the harakat into a mad. Okay? And we don't want that. That's again a major mistake, that you change a harakat into a harf mad. So don't do that, but this is just to you can say warn you, or to tell you that you should be careful when you're reading these harakat, and the position of your mouth should be such and such in such and such harakah. Because Imam al-Jazari said mukammalan min ghayri ma takallufi bil lutfi fi nutqi bila ta'assufi. So there is no takalluf in qira'ah. You don't have to do takalluf. I don't know what takalluf is exactly in English, but if someone understands this word in Urdu, they know very well what takalluf means, or if someone understands it basically means sort of, going out of your way to do something. You can say that is an explanation of takalluf. I don't know the exact word for it, but going out of your way to do something. Okay, so for example, a guest comes to your house and you have something which you want to serve him, but then you go out to the market again and then you bring it. Then you find out that, oh, I think I should bring this as well, and then you go and you bring something. So he will say that please don't do all this takalluf. I hope I'm able to explain the context of this word. So going out of your way to do something extra which is not needed, that is sort of definition of takalluf. And in qira'ah, takalluf would mean that you're doing something which is not required to read the Quran. Okay, so it can either result in you putting a strain on yourself, or it could mean that you have made a mistake as well. For example, in case you extrapolate a haraka into a harf of mad, into a mad letter. So some examples of that include صُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ. So this verse of the Holy Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah. Now if you notice over here, the first letter over here is Sa'ad, then which has a dhamma, okay? Then there's Mim, which is mushaddad. Now Mim mushaddad means that it has actually two phases to read it. First of the phase is it will be read as a sakin. Then it will be read with dhamma. Then after that there is iqlab. So you read the Mim again with sukoon. Then the ba has a dhamma. So then after that the kaf is sukoon. Then the Mim has a dhamma. Then the noon for idhar will be sukoon. Then the ayn has a dhamma. Then the Mim has a sukoon. Then the ya has a dhamma. So it's going on like this. This is a very difficult verse to read in terms of tajweed. If you take care of all the harakat, it's a very difficult verse to read. So someone who does not take care of harakah might read it like صُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ. صُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ. Now here what I did was I did minimal movement of my mouth, of my lips. But if I do the complete and the precise movement which is supposed to be done, it would sound like صُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ. So you see the difference? First I read it as صُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ with minimal movement of my lips. My mouth was almost straight. So the voice cannot come out properly. And if I read the harakat with the proper shape of my lips, صُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ. So you can see the difference in both of the styles. Similarly, when you're saying words like alaykum or qul or jumu'ah, it is very easy to read the dhamma which is between a dhamma and a fatha. For example, saying alaykum, see, alaykum. So instead of saying alaykum, you said alaykum. Now kum is a sound which is between a dhamma and a fatha. It is still a mistake, it's a major mistake in fact, because you did not read the dhamma as it's supposed to be read. And this is a naqs in the harakah. And you're supposed to read it as alaykum. Similarly, some people say na'budu, iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. So it's na'budu, not na'budu. And similarly for qul, you may say qul, and al-jumu'ah, it's also you may say al-jumu'ah, like mim is sakin or something, or with a qalqala on it, something like this. It can sound different. And for some example, for the ya, the kasra, it will be alayhim bihi maliki yawmiddin. These all have to be taken care of. In fact, my sheikh told me that his sheikh told him, and I don't know, maybe his sheikh told him, that the kasra for the ulama is known as mizanul kalima. That the balance of the whole word is not the word, the kalima, is lying on kasra. If your kasra is correct, then the word will come out as correct. But if your kasra is not correct, then even if your other harakat are correct, the word will not sound proper and correct. So alayhim, not alayhim, and bihi, not bihi, and maliki yawmiddin, not maliki yawmiddin. Now this might sound that if no one does this, but actually a lot of people do this, and when they're normally doing qira'ah, it doesn't a normal person can't guess it or can't hear it because he is not trained in tajweed. But an expert reader or an expert you can say in tajweed who has studied the ilm tajweed, he can easily find out that his harakat are not. For example, if I read it quickly, something like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'een, Ihdina Siratal Mustaqim. So here I said na'budu and maliki. So it's maliki and na'budu, but I didn't read it properly. And normally when people are reciting like this, an average person cannot guess or cannot hear this mistake. An example of mubalagha, which I was talking about before, can come in this verse, na'budu. For example, if you say the second dhamma on dal, if you do mubalagha or exaggeration in that, it can become a waw. So it can be iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'een. So instead of saying na'budu, you said na'budu. Na'du is a dhamma with a mad after it. It's not just a dhamma. It's a dhamma with a mad after it. So we must avoid that. And secondly, if you take an example of, I think I've given this example before as well, of kufuwan. And if you say kufuwan in a hurry, you might say walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Okay, so it sounds like the fatha, the fa is actually sakin, whereas it's not sakin. It has a haraka and it is a dhamma. So you should say it like walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad, kufuwan, like this. And na'budu as well, exaggeration is one thing, but if you read it quickly, you might do the same mistake over in na'budu as well. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'een. Now here I read na'budu, but the second haraka I read it so quickly that it sounds just like I did qalqalah on dal. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'een. So it's important to give a haraka its due right by saying Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'een. Not na'budu and not na'budu, but na'budu. This is the middle way and this is the correct one. Moving forward, so another example of takalluf or exaggeration will be if you say, for example, if you're reading the words qulubuhum. Now when you're reading qulubuhum, you don't need to straighten your mouth after reading every word, every letter, because all of them have dhamma on them. So when you're reading a letter or a kalima which has 3 or 4 consecutive letters with dhamma or a similar haraka, you will keep your mouth in the same place, and the only thing you will change is the position of your tongue to pronounce the correct articulation point, to pronounce the correct makhaarij. But you will not change the position of your mouth, because doing that for every dhamma, making your lips round and then straight again and then round and then straight again, when each of them has the same haraka, that is a part of takalluf. You don't need to do that. And it's very difficult to do. I don't think, normally someone can do that, but if someone goes to the extent to do it, it's still wrong, because that will be counted in takalluf. You can simply say ulubuhum. You do need to straighten your mouth on a sakin harf, but when the harakat are similar, then your mouth will remain in the same position. Okay, just like, for example, saying لا يحزنهم الفزع. يحزنهم. Now you won't say لا يحزنهم. زونهم will make it a dhamma and a waw after it, but just saying يحزنهم, this will make it shorter than it's supposed to be. So the middle way will be لا يحزنهم الفزع. And as I said, if we read in tahqiq, inshallah, these mistakes will be sorted out. But if someone is an expert and he's reading in hadr as well, if he thinks he can read that fast, I still don't read that fast, by the way. I mean, I've been studying for more than 2 years, but I don't read that fast because I know I have a lot of mistakes to correct, and if I read that fast, I will probably start making mistakes. So I recommend that for the first 2 or 3 or 4 years, maybe you read very slowly, and after this, if you think you can build up speed, I mean, I do read fast sometimes, but what I'm trying to say is that still I recommended that you read it slowly, and this is what my teachers recommended as well, that read slowly. Even if you read half a page every day, but read it slowly with all the rules of tajweed, and you will see that that half a page will have more effect on your tajweed than reading 3 or 4 pages every day, but in a faster speed. Now moving forward, some of the common mistakes which are related to this and some of the Quran make, and some other mistakes, I would like to mention them as well. But before this, I mean, I'll be giving some examples of some of famous reciters. I won't take any names, but I will just I might recite like them, okay? And you might have heard that that recitation because it's famous on YouTube or Facebook or something. But I just want to clarify before I do that that I don't mean any disrespect to any of the reciters of Quran. They're all very respectful for me, and I don't mean to show that I have some special knowledge which they don't have, and I'm some scholar or something. But what the ulama of tajweed have said is a mistake is going to remain as a mistake. Okay, so just don't think that if we are trying to correct mistakes, we are trying to say that someone is bad in his recitation or he's sinful for doing that or something. We are not doing that. We're not judging anyone here, but we are trying to correct ourselves, and for that it is important to know what mistakes some of the famous reciters make, because if those mistakes are left unnoticed and no one corrects them, and no one from the ulama of tajweed or the students of tajweed they tell the public about it, then they will be idealized, and normally people start reading that way because obviously people like to read just like a famous reciter. So the real beauty of Quran is with tajweed. That is the real beauty, and 99% of the beauty is with tajweed. That remaining 1%, that is Allah's fadl on whomever Allah wills. Some people have a very beautiful voice and some have a normal voice, and just like myself, I think I have just a very normal voice, okay, but I try to take care of tajweed, and that is what puts beauty in the Quran. And but for example, if you look at Sheikh Mishari Rashid al-Afasi, and he has a very beautiful voice as well. His lahja and his makhaarij and his sifat and everything is mashallah great, barakallahu fi. So not everyone can be like him, of course, but 99% of your beauty in the Quran will be because of tajweed. That extra 1% is just if you can have a beautiful voice, if you can beautify your Quran, that's recommended, that's good. But main thing is tajweed. It should be correct. It should not be compromised for your beautification of the Quran. So with that, I would like to mention a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. He said to Abu Musa al-Ashari, and this hadith has been read by Imam al-Bukhari in his Sahih in the chapter of the Fadailul Quran, in the benefits or the merits of the Quran. So he mentions that the Prophet ﷺ said to Abu Musa al-Ashari that, Ya Aba Musa, I have been given a mizmar from the mazamir of Ali Dawood. Now this word mizmar, I checked the literal definition of it, and it means that it is sort of a flute or a windpipe or something like this. It's a musical instrument. So obviously the Prophet ﷺ does not mean that he has been given a musical instrument over here. And this because it's in the Fadail of Quran, this word, what it actually means over here is that the Prophet ﷺ had a very beautiful voice for the recitation of the Quran. And that is true. I mean, the ulama of tajweed, they're all agreed on this, that the greatest mujawwid and the best person in tajweed and in recitation of the Quran, he was the Prophet ﷺ, because he was the one who taught everyone else. So if you find a reciter who's beautiful today, just try imagining how beautiful the Prophet ﷺ would sound when he would read the Quran. With that, let's move on to some of the mistakes which people make these days for making their recitation beautiful, and which should not be done in terms of compromise on tajweed rules. The first of them is a tarqis. Tarqis means that you decrease or increase a mad letter, a harful mad, or the huruful mad. You increase or decrease them in order to produce a beautiful effect in your sound. Okay, in order to beautify your sound and your lahja and your Quran, you decrease or increase a mad as you wish. Okay, or not as you wish, or I mean, maybe someone is not doing it on purpose, but he's just not taking care of that. Okay, so we will say that he's not taking care of that. We won't say that he's doing it on purpose, but we'll just assume that he's not taking care of that. So the recitation I'm going to do now, you notice that, I mean, I'll just read how I heard. I'll just recite how I heard it, and then I'll mention some of the mistakes which I noticed in this qira'ah. And that is, let me just open that. It's Surah Al-Ghafir, I believe, yes, and somewhere in the last pages. Surah Al-Ghafir, yes, it's Surah Al-Ghafir, I believe. And where is that verse? La jarama. It starts with La jarama. So I just want to find that first before I read it to you. Yeah, here it is. So it's verse number, starting from verse number. This is an audio clip which I heard about 3 years ago maybe. And I found it again on YouTube and I listened to it. And even at that time, I did not know Tajweed, but I just knew the basic rules. And I asked my teacher at that time, that is this recitation correct? And he said that it's not correct. I mean, it sounds very beautiful, but it's not, sadly it's not correct according to the rules of tajweed. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. لا جرم أن ما تدعونني إليه ليس له دعوة في الدنيا ولا في الآخرة وأن مردنا إلى الله وأن المسرفين هم أصحاب النار فستذكرون ما أقول لكم وأفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد فوقاه الله سيئات ما مكروا وحاق بآل فرعون سوء العذاب النار يعرضون عليها غدوا وعشيا ويوم تقوم الساعة أدخلوا آل فرعون أشد العذاب. So this recitation, I heard it on YouTube, and there are some major mistakes in terms of the rules of tajweed. Now major, I don't mean al-lahn al-jali, but I mean some of them are lahn al-jali. Yes, some of them are lahn al-jali, but most of them are al-lahn al-khafi. But by major, I mean there are a lot of mistakes in terms of tajweed. So starting from the first one, I read la jarama annama tad'unani ilayh. So tad'unani ilayh, here there is a mad. Now that reciter is reciting with the mad as 4 counts. He's not reciting in al-qasr. Al-qasr is also a part of recitation. You get it from another tariq, not from tariq al-Shatibiyya, from tariq Tayyibat al-Nashr, which is a poem written by Imam Ibn al-Jazari. But from the tariq of Shatibiyya, you don't get this. You don't get this qasr of mad jaiz al-munfasil. Now I know that these terminologies might scare you a little bit, but don't worry, we'll study them in detail when we go to the mad. The point is that tad'unani, it should be at least 4 counts or 5 counts, okay? But he read it as 2 counts. Then when you go to maraddana, it is the same mad over there, which he read as 2 counts over here, but then he suddenly said وَأَنَّ مَرَدَّنَا, and he extended it to maybe 5 or 6 harakat. And then when you go to ashabun nar, there's no gunna on the noon. And then the mad over here is 2 counts. It is mad arid listakun, he's 2 counts. Okay, that is okay. But moving forward, when he says ma aqulu lakum, he extends this to maybe 10 counts or something. Ma, and this is not just 2 or 3 or 4 counts. This is like 7 or 8 or 9 or maybe 10 counts. And this mad again is the same mad as the mad after tad'unani and the maraddana and the ma, and these are the same mads. Similarly, wa ufawwidu amri is the same mad. And then when he says bil ibad, he makes it 4 counts instead of 2 counts. Then going on to fawaqahu Allahu sayyi'ati ma makaru. Then su is again a mad, but it is not just like the previous. It's not like the previous mads. It's a different kind of mad. But again, this cannot be extended more than 4 or 5 counts when you're reading in wasl. If you stop over this, then you can make it 6 counts, but not more than 6 counts in any case. But this mad again is around 8 or 9 counts. I don't know. Then an-na'ru yuraduna. Yuraduna is a mad with the level of tabi'ah. I mean, mad tabi'i. You don't extend it more than 2 counts in any situation. Either it be waqf or wasl. You're stopping on it. You're reading it by combining it with the next word. There is no way that you can read a mad tabi'i more than 2 counts. But he extends yu'radun to yu'radun like 3 or 4 counts, which is not allowed. And then again, then when he stops at su'ul adhab, the previous verse, he stops at about 6 counts over here. So these are some of the mistakes which I noticed in this qira'ah. It sounds very beautiful. It sounds very beautiful, no doubt. And his lahja is and I pray that may Allah rewards him for his intention, because this reciter was even crying in his recitation, as far as I remember. He even cries in the recitation. So it's a very beautiful recitation. But sadly, in terms of tajweed, it's not very good, because lahja or your beautification of the voice is not the purpose of the tajweed. Tajweed means to read it correctly, as the Prophet ﷺ read it. And the Prophet ﷺ did not read it like this, because none of the scholars have read it like this, and they have heard it with a chain of narration that goes to the Prophet ﷺ. So when a proper reciter who has a sanad or an ijaza, when he is reciting, he will not recite like this, because he has to take care of how the Prophet ﷺ actually read it. And that is very important, because we get a hadith like this, that one of the Sahaba, he read the word as-sama without the mad. Now remember one thing, that mads, reading a mad which is jaiz or even wajib muttasil, it does not change the meaning of the word. If you read as-sama as as-sama, it does not change the meaning, because everyone knows as-sama is sky, right? If you're referring to sky when you say as-sama, it's the sky. So, but the other Sahabi, I don't remember the name, so I won't take any names, but this is an authentic narration, inshallah. He stopped him and he said, the Prophet ﷺ did not teach us like this. He did not read as-sama, but he said as-sama, and he told him just to correct his mad. So the Sahaba were careful to this extent as well in recitation of the Quran, that they read it just like the Prophet ﷺ read it. And obviously then some of the major mistakes include that, reading a mad tabi'i more than tabi'i is a sort of a major mistake. It's not a minor mistake, because there is no, it's mad tabi'i, not far'i, not the extra, you can say the branches. It's not from the branches of mad, it's from the basis of the mad. So I just want to give this example of a small portion of recitation, that there are many mistakes in this, only because the person is not taking care of the rules of tajweed, even though the recitation is very beautiful, and may Allah reward him for that. Moving forward, the other mistakes include at-tahzeen. At-tahzeen means to read it in a voice which is so you can say so low, of a high pitch, low volume sound, something like this, that it sounds almost as if you're crying, but you're not actually crying, but it sounds as if you're crying. So this is not recommended. I mean, it is recommended to cry on the verses of adab, when you're reading the Quran. Obviously, that is from the adab of Quran, which we discussed in the beginning lectures of the series. But to intentionally make your sound so thin and so with a high pitch or something that it sounds as if you're crying, that is not recommended, because it can bring hypocrisy or riyah in a person. And we know that showing off or riyah, it's something which the Salaf used to say is more hidden than an ant which is crawling on a black ant crawling on a black stone on a dark night. So a dark night, and then you have a black stone, and then you have a black ant on that black stone. So there's no way you can see that ant. And Ar-Riya, which is also known as Ashirk al-Asghar, the smaller shirk, it's actually more hidden than that. So how can a person expect to save himself from it, except from the by seeking refuge in Allah. So may Allah save us all from Ar-Riya. Ameen. Similarly, the third point is at-Tar'id, which I've mentioned before as well. It means to make your sound like as if you're feeling cold. Now, I don't think normally people do that by purpose. It can be either if someone's breath is too short or he's of old age, then that effect comes in your voice naturally. But some people might do it purposefully as well. So of course it's wrong. You should not do that. And then reading Quran in a way as if you feel tired. You're making your voice sound so low and so light that as if you're tired. For example, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahmanir Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin. So you see, recite in a way that at least it seems that if you're active and you're taking interest in what you're reciting, not in a way it sounds that you're sleepy and you're lazy. Similarly, one of the mistakes is that reading. This is a very important point actually. That reading the letters of the beginning of the words and the letters at the ending of the words in such a low voice that it seems as if you did not pronounce those letters at all. For example, I start with Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Okay, now notice my Hamza. Where is my Hamza? Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Now my Hamza was recited in such a low voice that it's not clear that if it's a Hamza or Ha or what. So it should be Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdu, not Alhamdu. And similarly, an example of stopping could be, for example, the verse in the verse which starts with surah which starts with Wailul likulli. Now, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wailul likulli humazatil lumaza. Where is the Ha? Wailul likulli humazatil lumaza. This is how it's supposed to read. Not Wailul likulli humazatil lumaza. So it seems that there's no Ha at the end, or some people can make it like Wailul likulli humazatil lumaza. Za. So za seems like there's an alif where it's supposed to be a Ha. So you're supposed to pronounce that Ha correctly. Wailul likulli humazatil lumaza. Like this. Then this one we've already discussed in the lahan topic of the mistakes. Extending a haraka and then decreasing a haraka and then something like this. تفخيم الراء الساكنة إذا كان قبلها سبب لترقيقها. Yes. So for example, reading the ra of Fir'aun. Fir'aun, it's supposed to be muraqqaq. We'll read the details, but people normally they don't take care of this. Khair and Fir'aun or Hijr, all these ra are supposed to be muraqqaq, but they're a little bit difficult to pronounce. So normally people say Khair or Fir'aun or Hijr. So this is a mistake as well. And Ibdalul Haraka, we read this, changing a haraka and changing a harf. We read this before. There's one or two more things which I want to discuss. Yeah. To increase the length of al-mad al-tabi'i when you're doing waqf. So this is also a mistake. For example, and that's in this verse, فَادْخُلِي فِي عِبَادِي. So people normally read it, to make their voice beautiful, they read it, فَادْخُلِي فِي عِبَادِي وَادْخُلِي جَنَّتِي. So this is actually amad tabi. It's not supposed to be that long. It's supposed to be فَادْخُلِي فِي عِبَادِي وَادْخُلِي جَنَّتِي. That's it. Not more than this. So this is also a mistake which most of the reciters make. And then to make your lips round in order to pronounce a mufakham letter. Mufakham letters are the heavy letters. There are 7 of them which are always mufakham. Then 3 of them which are sometimes mufakham. We'll read the details later on. But just to in terms of how you're supposed to pronounce it, it goes like, for example, I'm saying غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. So you see, my dad is heavy, but it's so heavy that it seems like there's a wow. And that the wow sound comes because when I was reciting this, I actually made my lips round, just like when I recite wow. And some people read it like lo, and some even say dwa. Some even say this. They say غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. So it seems like there is du and then there's a, whereas that's not correct. So it's supposed to be read as غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. So it is heavy. It has the sift of isti'ala and has the sifa of itbaq, but it is not that heavy that it becomes a dhamma, or it sounds like a wow. And it becomes like that when you make your lips round. Then making your murakkak letters so murakkak, meaning your light letters so light that you give some portion of imala to them. Now imala is only done in riwayah Hafs, in this Hafs bin Hafs and Asim, which we are studying. It only comes at one place in the whole Quran, and that is the word majreha. Majreha. It comes in Surah Al-A'raf, if I'm not wrong. So in that letter, you're supposed to do imala. Imala is a sound between a kasra and a fatha. So a fatha is a, and a kasra is e. So imala is a. So majre, this is imala. Then there's another type of imala. I think it's called imala sughra, which is in one of the qira. It's like So there are basically 4 different sounds. One is a, then a, then a, and then e. Okay, so you're starting from fatha, a, then something below fatha but above imala, it's a, then the real imala is a, and then the complete kasra, which is e. Okay, so there are 4 sounds between including fatha and kasra. So if you say, for example, let's take the example of bismillah. So you say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So you see, I did very good tarqiq over here, but it's gone to the extent it sounds like imala. It sounds like I'm reading it near to kasra. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And this mistake was recently corrected for me by one of the senior teachers over here as well. And he corrected me when I was giving an exam. And he in one of the letters I did this. In order to pronounce it correctly, I didn't take care of this, and he said that this is a mistake as well. So we're all going to keep making mistakes, and it's necessary to keep reciting and keep correcting ourselves always, inshallah. And just to correctly read the bismillah, it's supposed to be like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Okay, and before I was reading like Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So Bismillah and Bismillah. Okay, you see the difference? Now I want to actually I didn't mention this in the Urdu lecture. I was supposed to mention it, but it just came in my mind right now, and I think I should mention it because some of you might know Urdu as well. I've heard a lot of people in Pakistan, they recite like Bismillah. This sound is nowhere in the Arabic language. Okay, there is the fatha and there is the mad of alif, it's but it's not So you see the difference in the sounds? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is not correct. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is not correct as well. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the correct one. So make sure that you don't do it. I mean, you read your alif like if it's, I mean, a voice which is not found in the Arabic language at all, or you read it like imala, but you keep it between that, and that is the correct voice. And these things will come with time. They will not be corrected overnight. If you have such mistakes, they will take time to correct, of course. Sometimes you have to spend just 2 or 3 days for correcting a single letter or a single mistake, and that is normal. Don't be afraid if you have such mistakes. I myself have had a very hard time correcting some of my mistakes, but the only thing is that you have to be persistent. It doesn't matter if it takes 4 days, if it takes 5 days, if it takes 10 or 20 or even a month. Keep practicing, keep correcting yourself, and try to read slowly. This is my advice to everyone. Try to read slowly and try to read to a local imam as well. Some of the things cannot be understood on the internet. You have to be sitting face to face for a scholar or a teacher of Tajweed to correct you. So keep reciting to people, and inshallah ta'ala, with time these mistakes will go away. That's all for today, and inshallah for the next time I want to just give you a small homework. I gave it in the Urdu class as well, and I think it's not sort of a homework. If you want to do it, you can, but I recommend it greatly. I highly recommend that you do this. There is the poem Al-Muqaddimat al-Jazariyah. I've mentioned it enough times that you should be able to Google it by now. Al-Muqaddimat al-Jazariyah by Imam Ibn al-Jazari. Google that, and then you will find that after the first 7, I think the first 7 ash'ar, after the first 7 one, there is the 8th one. Yeah, I just opened the book. So after the first 8th one, there is a bab of Makhaarij al-Huruf. Okay, so memorize this. Okay, there are because the Makhaarij, there are a lot of Makhaarij if you want to individually memorize them, and it takes some time. There are 17 of them, so it is not going to be easy to memorize the words, and they're not going to be always on the top of your head that immediately you can tell the person the correct makhraj of a word if he wants to learn from you. So the best way, which I found and which the scholars recommend, and that is the reason they wrote poems, that it is easier for people to memorize. So if you memorize the poem, it is very easy for you to know all the makharij by heart without ever having to think a lot on them. So it goes like, I'll just read it out to you, and I recommend that you memorize this. I'll also share a picture and ask the brother who puts this video on YouTube to add that picture in the video as well. So it goes like, مخارج الحروف 17 على الذي يختاره من اختبر فألف الجوف وأختها وهي حروف مد للهواء تنتهي ثم لأقصى الحلق همز هاء ثم لوسطه فعين حاء أدناه غين خاؤها والقاف أقصى اللسان فوق ثم الكاف أسفل والوسط فجيم الشين يا والضاد من حافته إذ وليا للراس من أيسر أو يمناها واللام أدناها لمنتهاها والنون من طرفه تحت جعلوا والراء دانيه لظهر أدخلوا والطاء والدال وتا منه ومن عليا الثنايا والصفير مستكن منه ومن فوق الثنايا السفلى والضاء والذال وثا للعليا من طرفيهما ومن بطن الشفه فالفاء مع أطراف الثنايا المشرفة للشفتين الواو باء ميم وغنة مخرجها الخيشوم. So this is the bab of Makhaarij al-Huruf, Babu Makhaarij al-Huruf by Imam Ibn al-Jazari, and it has the details of all the 29 letters, how you're supposed to read them, where is their makhraj, what part of the tongue, with what part of the teeth, what part of the throat, if it goes in the nose, if it doesn't go in the, everything is in these verses. So I recommend that you memorize these verses by the next week, and inshallah then we'll go through the details of all the makharij step by step. And yep, that's pretty much it for today. Do keep sending me your audios if you have time. I still have not received any audios except for one brother. And if you're just memorizing, I mean, if you're just reciting to someone locally, I mean, at your local mosque, or in your community, that's fine as well. I have no issue with that. But just keep reciting, even if it's half a page every day. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلق محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.